What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the Mets postgame show right here on the channel and on X. And the Mets just fell short of coming back against the Cubs. They lose six. Cubs get six. Brett Baty, five. As the New York Mets, once again in runners in scoring position, is the talk of the town once again. With runners in scoring position, this team has been bad. I don't care. Name the guy. Every single guy in this lineup has been bad with runners in scoring position. It has been a huge issue, and that is a fact. Tyler McGill gave you nothing today, and that was, let's be honest, this is where he starts to fall into the inconsistency period of his season, and don't know why anybody expects anything else. He'll throw 6, 7 good starts, and then he'll tail off for 3 months, and then he'll show back up late in August and win a couple of games. So he didn't give us that much of a chance to really get anything going when it came to, starting to lose the game. And that was a big reason why the Mets had to fight back the entire time. Both times Brett Baty, turned it into a one-run ball game, and it just wasn't enough. And yeah, committee, no more saying the Cubs aren't that good. Could we be honest here? The Mets, I don't care if it was you or me pitching, runners in scoring position has been a problem. The Mets lost this game on their own. The Cubs get that, that insurance runs that they needed, because if Baty would have hit the home run and the Cubs wanted to score again, Mets win 5-4. So they're killing themselves. This was a situation where the bullpen, for the most part, did what they had to do until Kranick, gave it up. And they gave up those 2 runs. And it was a 3-run deficit. Baty hit the 2-run homer. You got to hold them at that point. As much as we don't, as good as the bullpen was for this entire season, look, you got to go out there and hold it. This is a situation where there was one guy that was swinging a hot bat in this lineup today, and that was Brett Baty. And both balls were hit to the opposite field. So, it sucks, but it's the same common theme. When the Mets lose, the runners in scoring position stat line looks terrible. They were 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position with 6 men left on. So, and again, it goes down the list. Lindor, Soto, Lonzo, Nimmo, Vientos. It goes completely down the list of why this team, when they lose, if you look at the stat of runners in scoring position and it's below 3 or 4, maybe 5, when it comes to people on base, it's a terrible. They lose a ball game. You don't even have to look at the score. Just look at the men in scoring position. If they don't have more than 4 or more runs with runners in scoring position, and they're like 4 for 9, 4 for 10, it's a loss. So it doesn't matter how they pitch, because it doesn't work. That's the problem. Committee, sure. The Cubs were clutch today. The Mets were clutch yesterday, and the Cubs were clutch today. But again, the Mets had chances. That's the thing. They got one more hit than we did today. That's it. Right? I still don't think, the guy, Horton, who came in, pitched well. Can you hit the guy, for crying out loud? His first start in a crazy atmosphere, and we made him look like, the greatest pitcher since sliced bread. Come on. Let's go. You had opportunities. You didn't get the job done. I don't think the Cubs are that good. I still don't think they're that good. They had a lot of opportunities to blow this game open. They really didn't. They kept the Mets around, and you know what? They almost blew it. Now they got the right pitches when they needed to, and they got the big hit when they needed to. But yesterday, they looked like the worst team in baseball. They couldn't catch a ball, they couldn't throw a ball, and they definitely couldn't hit. The Cubs looked silly yesterday. And let's go back to the lineup, right? Brandon Nimmo, 0. Vientos, 0 for the most part. It's, Alvarez is a lost cause. Again, swinging at the first pitch. What are you doing? You're at the bottom of the lineup. And this is what frustrates me about guys that don't change their approach. I do not care where you bat in the lineup. You change your approach because something's not working. It's Nimmo, it's Alvarez. They're not changing their approach. If Nimmo doesn't pop up, he strikes out. Alvarez, if he doesn't ground the ball to the damn shortstop, he's striking out. This has to change. You know what? I'm sorry. You know what? Put Jeff McNeil in left field, sit Nimmo's ass down, and play Luis Torrens. You don't think Luis Torrens would have got a hit in a big spot here? It's a guy that puts the bat on the ball. The Cubs were waiting to make a mistake defensively. They looked like the bad news Bears yesterday. Put the ball in play. Let them make a play. Like, I mean, come on. Like, it's a shitty loss, but again, it's the same common problem. The same theme. We keep on talking about it every pregame show. What do the Mets have to do? We start with the pitcher. What does the pitcher have to do? Tyler McGill, you want to trust him? Go right ahead. I'm not telling you how to think. I do not trust that guy. I can't wait for that guy to get out of the rotation. The guy sucks for 3.5 months out of the year, almost 4 months out of the year, shows up for 1 month in the beginning, 1 month at the end, and then that's it. He'll look great for 4 starts in the beginning or 5 starts in the beginning and have about 3 or 4 good starts at the end. But in between, he is garbage. We needed a better outing from him. I mean, couldn't even get through the 5th inning. What the fuck? Come on. Yeah, committee, that's fine. But the Mets aren't that bad either. That's fine. I don't trust the Cubs. All right. They play a lot of shitty teams in the Central too. So let's go easy here. I know they played a lot of good teams and they played well, but the Mets also have played well. So we'll say again, the Cubs didn't look like one of the better teams against good records yesterday, right? They were throwing the ball around. They couldn't get a big hit, and their pitching looked terrible. So, again, this was a situation where if the Mets did their job, with runners in scoring position, this game would have been over. And I agree, Brad. The Cubs pitch is not that good. They're not. Like, you had the opportunities once again. You don't even have to be 6 for 10 with runners in scoring position. If they were 2 for 10, they tie the game. If they were 3 for 10, they win the ball game. That's 30% of runners in scoring position in that game. Like, and then here we go once again with Griffin Cannon. Got to hold down the series again. So, well, see, though, this is the funny part with people. Now all of a sudden, Baty's trade value went up, but he's helping you win ball games. Wasn't his fault they lost. 3 home runs in 2 games, and again, maybe it's lightning in a bottle, or maybe guess what? He knows this is his last opportunity with the New York Mets, and he woke up. Good for him. But if he's going to help us win ball games, I don't want to trade him. Like, what's the point? How about trading Mark Vientos? Brett Baty has done more in 2 games than Vientos has done all season. And you can save it about what he did last year. Don't care about last year. Do you care about what Pete Alonso did last year? No. Why? Because it ain't helping us this year. So I don't care what Mark Vientos did in a season where nobody had a book on him and they continued to throw fastballs. And then when the following year, which it always takes a year, for some reason, teams get the book on these guys a year later and then they adjust. They never adjust during the season. They rarely do. They're throwing him breaking balls and off-speed pitches, and he's swinging at everything. And then when he gets that fastball that he usually kills, he's late on it. So save me with Mark Vientos. Mark Vientos can be on the first plane out on any trade. Not saying that I want Brett Baty at third base. I'm just saying. But, again, everybody wants to trade Brett Baty. The Mets would have had 0 runs if it wasn't for Brett Baty today. Right? He's done more in 2 games than Vientos has done all year. And, again, if you want to talk about last year, go ahead. Yeah, committee, I agree. Vientos did better at the plate today. But This is 3 consecutive games now where he either didn't play or he was the DH. They're not putting him at third base. You know why? Because he hasn't been good defensively either. He's been almost 0. So, and Dola, Baty don't have to fool you. Baty doesn't have to fool you. The only people he have to fool is the front office. It is what it is. Rels, you know what? I'm sending you away because you're just ridiculous sometimes. You really are. Like, stop it. Get over yourself. You don't like Brett Baty when Brett Baty does. Like, I truly believe Rels wants Brett Baty to strike out on purpose, and actually wants him to strike out so he can just talk about Baty's got to go. Baty could have won the ball game, and he would have been like, Baty's got to go. Like, that's the problem. Rels, you're probably listening. You won't be in the chat today. I'll tell you that right now. If you're going to root against a player, because you already said you would root against a player, you already said it. You'd rather Brett Baty fail than him succeed and have the Mets win. If he's the cause of the Mets winning, you don't like it because it doesn't fit your narrative. That's on you. And Baty doesn't have to fool anybody. But Baty is putting better swings together. You see it. And again, it's all about confidence. Same thing with Mark Vientos. You know, like, I just don't understand people. Why root against a player that's on your team that you're rooting for? It's stupid. I don't trust Brandon Nimmo. I think he's terrible. But I'm not waiting for him to strike. I'm not hoping for him to strike out so I can gloat about it. I don't want to. I'd rather be wrong. I promise you. Yeah, Brad, I understand preferring Vientos over Baty. We all are on board with that. But when Vientos isn't doing anything, and he had better at-bats today, but results matter, right? Results matter. Again, it's only a 2-game stretch, but since Baty has come up, he's looked better. Now, again, maybe it's knowing that this is his last opportunity with the Mets because the next stop is DFA. So it could just be that. Well, explosive. That's what I'm saying. Like, give Brett Baty props. Soto didn't do it. Lindor didn't do it. Nimmo didn't do it. Alonso didn't do it today. Alvarez. Just give him props. It's okay. You can still dislike him and give him credit for the day or the last 2 games. It's okay. We won't hold it against you, I promise. Like Brandon Nimmo, when he had that 9 RBI day, I was like, great, that was an awesome day for him. But this is what Brandon Nimmo does now. He'll have, one big game, and he'll have, a week of games where he goes absolutely nuts. And then when people say, oh, look what Brandon Nimmo did with his stats. Yeah, he played well for 25 games of 162. That's what he does. He does. You want to talk about Brandon Nimmo padding stats? He is the prototypical padder of the stats. Well, I agree with you, Kermie. I agree with you. But again, there's people, and this is why Rels gets thrown off the chat, right? I know he's, not off the stream. I can tell you that because, he's going to use everything I ever say against me tomorrow, right? But you are ridiculous if you're going to root against a player, right? Go watch the Yankees. Go on a content creator that does Yankee content because they like to do that. Enjoy. But don't come here and root against a player that is on your team. It's stupid, and it just shows you're not a real fan. I don't care if you're 70 years old, 60 years old, 30 years old. You don't root against a player. It's stupid. So, again, you got to play. Again, Vientos is in a territory now where he can lose his job, and it might not just be to Brett Baty. It could be to Ronnie Mauricio, who might be 2 or 3, maybe even 2 weeks away, because the Mets are already promoting him, and it's not like he has been hitting in the minors. But you know what he's doing? He's playing 9 innings. He's playing back-to-back games, and he's healthy throughout those games. the Mets are fast tracking Ronnie Mauricio to the big leagues. As long as he gets his at-bats, stays healthy, plays on the field, he's running through the system. Running through the minor leagues until he's ready to go. When the Mets deem him 100% healthy, he will be up with this team. Don't think for a second that Mark Vientos won't go down to AAA to work on things. They're not going to just throw Brett Baty on waivers to fit Ronnie Mauricio. Vientos has options. You can send him down. It's not a demotion. It's to send him down. You got Ronnie Mauricio. You got Brett Baty, two guys that can play third and that can interchange certain positions. And you can fix Brett Baty's problem at the plate. That is what the minor leagues is for. I know a lot of people don't want to understand this. The minor leagues are for instructional reasons for a player to get better. It's instructional. That's why Mark Vientos needs to get sent down. You can't keep on working him at the major league level and throwing him in this lineup and being a zero. Now, he looked a little bit better today, but we've seen this before. He'll have a hit. He'll have 2 hits. He'll look a little better at the plate. The next day, he'll have 4 strikeouts, and he'll look terrible at the plate. Like, that's what we have to do if need be. And don't think for a second that Stearns won't do it. He's showed us already he will be willing to do it. Mark Vientos was probably our last option to throw at third base, to think he would be successful the way he was last year. It worked. But last year means nothing. It's a distant memory. That's all it is. Like, maybe he should watch some film and figure out why he's doing what he's doing this year. But it shouldn't take that long watching your own highlights. He is swinging at – this is what they're doing. They're pitching him more with sliders and breaking balls off speed pitches, outside corners, off the plate. He's swinging at him. You know why? Because they're not falling for throwing him a fastball when they shouldn't throw a fastball. And then when they actually do, he is so breaking ball, off-speed pitch aware and conscious of it that he's late on the fastball that he usually hits. That's just approach. That's just you allowing the pitcher to get in your head. That's why he should be able to go down. The Mets are not going to DFA Brett Baty to fit Ronnie Mauricio in there. They're not going to do that, especially with Brett Baty hitting. They're not going to do that. And here's the problem. With Pete Alonso playing every day, Vientos isn't a versatile player. He's a third baseman. Brett Baty plays second as well. Ronnie Mauricio plays short, plays second, plays third. That's what Stearns likes. So unless Vientos is crushing the ball and playing better defensively, he could be the guy that gets sent down. And again, I do not believe that it's going to be a demotion. As like, you suck, go down. Like Brett Baty multiple times. It's get right. Get right and you will be back here. That's okay. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's been players much better and have had successful careers that have been sent to AAA to fix on their swing, fix on their mental capabilities during a game. It's okay. Well, Game of War, I'm not going to go that far as giving Brett Baty the third base job. I'm not going crazy over a week of games and saying, all right, Brett Baty, third base, it's yours. Here it is. You had it before. Here is it again. Now, I have no problem DHing Mark Vientos. Try to get that bat right. But again, DHing him is clearly not working. He is doing the same exact thing. Again, today was nice. He looked a little better at the plate. Results weren't ultimately there, but he looked better. Here's the other problem. You can't keep on putting zeros out there all across your lineup. Brett Baty's hitting right now. You need him in the lineup. He's producing. He should be in the lineup every day right now. Vientos shouldn't be. Everybody says, bat this guy here, put him at DH. If they're not hitting, I don't care if you send them to the fucking moon. If they're not hitting, they're not hitting. You got to change it up. You got to sit these guys, or you got to send a guy like Vientos who has options. Send him down. Get him right. Get someone up here that might be productive. Like, I just don't understand. Dolo, yeah, you know what? He probably Baty will probably be benched tomorrow. Probably. But then again, Mendoza has surprised us before. A couple of times where you're like, why would that guy be in the lineup? It's a possibility, but maybe Baty Mendoza, he hasn't been all analytical in matchups this year like he was last year. Last year, it was a guarantee. Baty could hit 5 home runs today in the game, and he'll be sitting tomorrow against a lefty. Mendoza has been going off that script a little bit when it comes to the bench. With matchups. So we'll see. Well, Kermit, I think Vientos is doing the same thing, though. I think the fact that he's so uber aware of the breaking ball and off-speed pitches that he's jumpy at the plate. Same thing what you're talking about with Baty psyching himself out. I think he's just putting a ton of pressure on himself. But it's two guys that just one needs to relax, the other one needs to change your approach. Like, that's like, and it's okay. Shit happens. But when you don't look like you're changing it, and this goes for both of these guys, you see what Brett Baty's doing now, right? As soon as you start hitting the ball the other way with authority, you start getting that confidence. And that's what Brett Baty has right now. Now, will it last? Who the hell knows? Maybe it won't. Maybe it's a 2-week stretch where it's like, all right, Baty had his, glory for 2 weeks, and then that's it. So, but I really think with Vientos, it's all in the mind right now. He is completely jumpy at the plate because he's so concerned about that breaking stuff and that off-speed pitches that the fastballs are just, he's late on, he's missing them. It's a problem, and it's been all year. So it sucks, but look, and again, I'm not just trying to jump on Vientos right now because Nimmo has been a problem. Let's be honest. The whole lineup has been bad with runners in scoring position. Again, when we can pick a player and you'll see runners in scoring position, their numbers suck. And it's a problem. It's throughout the lineup. Shit, throughout the roster. I think Luis Torrens and Pete Alonso are probably the best at it. And Luis Torrens don't play anymore because they're throwing Alvarez out there to look like a fool. So, I'm sorry. Luis Torrens better play tomorrow. I don't want to see Alvarez in this lineup. We could talk about Vientos not playing or Baty not playing or somebody else not playing or Nimmo sitting, whatever. Alvarez needs to sit. Everybody in this lineup, if Alvarez is the only one sitting tomorrow, I'd be happy. Because he's another one that, what are you doing in that inning where you're swinging at the first pitch? What are you doing? What are you doing? You got the pitcher on the ropes. You can see he's flustered a little bit, and you're going to swing at the first pitch. At least let him throw a strike, at the very least. And Torrens will be in tomorrow because it's a day game after a night game. So it's not really that, Alvarez sucks. Let's throw Torrens in. Torrens is going to play regardless, but it's just, he needs to not play. Torrens was a red-hot hitter. He was one of our best hitters in our lineup other than Pete Alonso, and now he sits. He's a solid ball player. Though I agree, that batter was disgusting. This is what annoys me, with at-bats, especially with Alvarez, with the younger guys. I'm not going to go with the veterans because I think they can change their approach. They're just stubborn, like Nimmo. When it comes to Alvarez, I just think he wants to do something so badly and wants to do good so badly that he just tries too much, tries too hard, does too much, and it gets little results. I truly believe that because you see Francisco Alvarez so frustrated with himself. And again, that can just be young age, he's trying to do too much. You can see it. But you might have not needed a home run in that spot. Maybe you hit the ball in the gap you drive in the run or something. But again, striking out doesn't do anything to help your team. Like we saw yesterday, when you put the bat on the ball, there's a good chance that the fielders might make a mistake. We saw it yesterday. I'm not saying that hitting a ground ball and the fielder is going to make a mistake, but there's an opportunity to do so. When you strike out, that opportunity doesn't exist. Right? Lindor hit the ball right to the pitcher, right? You know, the way pitchers have been throwing the bases, you never know. You know, Swanson, who's a very sure fielder, you know, looked like he never played shortstop before yesterday by throwing that ball away. So let the fielders make the play. Now, the Cubs made that play in the ninth inning. What are you going to do? You know, it would have been nice if Lindor, you know, hit it up the middle and got the base hit. But he didn't strike out. Like, at the very least, do I want you to get it done and execute? Sure, absolutely. But striking out makes me so mad at a hitter, especially when it's either looking at a fastball right down the middle or it's swinging at pitches that are so far outside the zone that even your grandmother wouldn't swing at. Like, that's a problem. So we have 15 losses. A lot of these losses, probably more than half, is because we left a ton of men left on base. Like, just go back to the Cardinals series. We were leaving 12, 13, 14 men left on base. Like, that's insane. Like, how we pulled out one victory, you know, against that team is amazing, the way we've been hitting. Yeah, Game of War. I don't agree with that either. I don't think it's where they bat in the lineup. Like, you know, because it's not like Vientos hit fourth every single day last year. He was batting second. He batted third. He batted fourth. Batted fifth. Yet he had a great year. This year, he's been more consistent. He's either batting, besides the last week, he's been batting either fourth or fifth in this lineup. More consistent than last year. So it's not consistency. Pete Alonso was your cleanup hitter last, or most of the time. He wasn't consistent last year. He was your number 3 hitter as well. He was either batting 3 or 4. He's doing that this year all the time, mostly 3, but it's the approach. Right? That's all it is. Right? Lindor going to the leadoff spot changed his approach because of the position that he got moved to. If Lindor never changed his approach as a leadoff hitter, it might have not been successful. Right? The problem with Lindor was I think he was trying to do way too much in that 3 spot. What the leadoff spot did, which he did a lot in Cleveland, was work the count a little bit more and ultimately have better at-bats. And it's just a change of approach. Like, that's all it is. Like, batting Vientos second, what is that going to do? All it's going to do is break up the 3 guys that have been the most successful in your lineup the entire year, at least collectively. Because even when Lindor and Soto wasn't hitting, they were getting on base for Pete Alonso. Go look at Pete Alonso's RBIs. You know how many times Lindor and Soto scored because of Pete Alonso driving those guys in? It's the majority of his RBIs. So it's also about production. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Jeff McNeil, last year, he would have struck out on that pitch. We all know that. But I'm not saying I like Jeff McNeil. I think he's on his way out. But that was such a good at-bat. And that just shows you that Jeff McNeil isn't the player he was last year. Now, he wasn't the player that he was 4 years ago when he was batting over 300, but he's a better hitter, or at least a better overall. He puts better at-bats together than he did last year. And that's nice to see, right? That was a crucial walk. Obviously, we all know why. It got the top of the order back. Again, it's not McNeil's fault that Lindor grounded out, right? It's not McNeil's fault that Soto grounded out at the end of the game. So, yeah, Game of War. Go back to the first 20 games of the season, right? More than that. It's been about 25, 30, almost 30 games. Vientos was either 4th or 5th. The last week or so, he's been batting 6th. But he's been mostly 4th or 5th. Sorry, right? Vientos, with the year he had last year, it makes no other sense to put him in the cleanup spot, right? He was in, like, the kid hit in the playoffs last year in very big situations. Why weren't you talking about where he batted in the lineup then? Because he was being successful? Only time people talk about the lineup and where they're batting is when they're not successful. Like, hit the fucking ball. You can bat 2nd or 8th. Your approach sucks. That's a problem. He's barely had any power. His average is atrocious. And he's striking out a ton. Like, why was nobody talking about, put Baty 2nd when he's not hitting? No, everybody just wants to send him on his way. It wasn't the 3rd or 4th game. Go back. They were moving him to the 5th spot a lot, but then it was Nimmo, Vientos. Only recently they've been starting to throw him down in the lineup. But even then, when he went to the 6th spot, a couple of games ago, he was batting 4th before they sat him down. Like, again, stop worrying about where they're hitting. Vientos is a power hitter. He is a pure power hitter. Where you want to bat him? You want to bat him 2nd when Soto's red hot? I know Soto didn't get it done today, but Soto's been red hot. So you want to move the guy who's red hot for a guy who's cold. The Mets have been winning games because they're 1, 2, 3 overall combined together. Where they've been is a lot of the reason why the Mets have been successful in a lot of these games. No, Game of War, I understand that, but the 5th spot and the 4th spot, can we be honest here? It's still a run-producing area, especially when your top 3 get on base. A lot. Why do you think Nimmo and Vientos in particular have the most men left on base on this team? You know why? Because the top 3 in the order have been getting on for them. They haven't gotten it done. That's it. We're looking too much into it. Look, Nimmo hasn't been good ever since he's changed his approach to trying to hit home runs. Now, Nimmo and Vientos have 2 different approaches right now. Nimmo, over the last 2.5 seasons, have been trying to be a home run hitter and a run producer. He's not that. Like, he's got to stop. But it doesn't look like he's changing that. Vientos, his approach is being jumpy and being so concerned about the breaking ball and off-speed pitches. That's his approach. He is looking breaking ball and adjusting to the fastball. That is a unsuccessful plan at the plate. If you played baseball before, you look fastball, adjust to a breaking ball or off-speed pitch. That is baseball 101. You can tell he's guessing and looking breaking ball. You're not going to be successful if you're looking for that. It's just not happening. Yeah, Game of War. Go around baseball. There's every team. Look at the Cubs. The Cubs changed the lineup today completely. They changed it around. Baseball, they change lineups every day. Find me a lineup that has consistently, even over one time this year, the Mets had a consistent lineup back to back. Find me a team that's done it 3 games in a row. They don't do that anymore. Listen, I'm old school with that stuff. I love to have a set lineup. Like, I would. But they don't do that in baseball anymore. Like, it annoys me. right? When you're successful yesterday, I would love to see the same lineup today, but they didn't do it. They didn't do it. No, Rels, it's not about disagreeing. It's just that you have a mouth and you don't shut up in your comments. Like you said it yourself, which that's why I have no respect for you. Because you said it yourself. You would rather have Brett Baty fail regardless of if the Mets win or not. That is hilarious to me. So I don't consider you a real fan. And if you want to leave the chat because of that, that's on you. It ain't going to hurt my feelings. Vientos is not doing fine. You guys are idiots if you think he's doing fine. Have you watched this season? I think you guys watch the playoff highlights and then come on the chat and say, Vientos, look what he's doing. He hasn't been good all year. He's had better at-bats today, which is a good sign, but we've seen it before this year. He had good at-bats, and then he'll go right back to the problem. No, Rels, it's not my opinion. Your opinion is idiotic. You want Brett Baty to fail because you don't like Brett Baty. You would rather him strike out 4 times to make your point, regardless if it helps the Mets win or lose. That is such a stupid attitude because you don't want your team to win if you want one guy to fail on your team. It's stupid. You would rather have Brett Baty fail just so you can say, ha, I win, regardless if the Mets win. It's stupid. Like, go on another channel and talk that nonsense. Trust me, there's enough of them. I have no problem with you doing that. I don't care if you leave or not. But you got timed out because you don't like Brett Baty. We know that. You don't have to say that anymore. I've said that before. You didn't call me? No, what did you call me? You called me the retard twice. And let's see. There's a couple of channels that really like those words. You can go. You're ridiculous, right? Game of War, we're not agreeing at all. But I'm not blocking him. I'm blocking you because you're a moron. Game of War never says, yeah, I don't like Brett Baty. Or what did he say? He talked about changing lineups with Vientos. But he doesn't want any player to fail. You said that directly. And a lot of people in the comments remember that comment that you put. You said directly, you rather have Brett Baty fail and you root for him to fail regardless if it's going to hurt the team. How are you a fan? Like I said, there's other content creators you can watch. Please get off my channel. I don't need you. And maybe you don't need me. That's fine. But don't act like you didn't say that and then complain. We know you don't like Brett Baty. That's fine. And I appreciate your opinion when it comes to that. But don't root against a player on your team to fail because ultimately that is hurting your team, which makes you a bullshit fan. And I'm okay with disagreeing with you. Like I don't agree with Game of War. I don't agree with him. But he's not rooting against players, and I'm on board with that. We could disagree about the lineup all day today. But don't root against a player on your team. It's stupid. We all dislike players. We all get frustrated by players. But when they come up to the plate, you're hoping he gets a hit. Did you hear the roar of the crowd when Brett Baty hit those home runs? You know why? Because they're rooting for him. They don't want him to fail. Most of them probably don't like him. But you don't want him to strike out. Like, it's just silly to me. Like, we can disagree all day, every day. Let's see. Yeah, committee, hell yeah. If you can root for Tom Glavine, especially after that first inning he had in what was it, 07, 08? Like, we can root for anybody. Like, come on. Like, at the end of the day, it's up to Vientos, it's up to Brandon Nimmo to change their approach. Like, it has to be the problem. And okay, Game of War, how many times have you batted fifth? I guarantee you it adds up to close to probably 20 times, maybe more. Again, when you don't do the job, you go down in the lineup. You don't keep that guy there. The only guys you keep there in those areas of the lineup, and the reason why the drastic changes with Lindor last year, because nobody was hitting. When you got Lindor, Soto, and Alonso hitting, you're not going to move them out of position in the lineup. You're just not doing that because they've been your lifesavers. It's up to those guys that bat after those guys to hit. He's moved from that spot because he's been so bad. You don't stay in a cleanup spot because it helps, it hurts you, it makes you feel good. Okay, my point exactly. So do the math. That's 23 times out of 40 games. So he's batting in the 4th and 5th spot, which I already said, more times that he batted anywhere else. You know why he's out of them spots? Because he has not hit. If he's hitting, he wouldn't move from there. He probably wouldn't even move from the cleanup spot. Like, they lost again because of runners in scoring position. And that's a team-wide effort. Besides Brett Baty today. Team-wide. This has been an ongoing problem. Right? You lose games like this because you're 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Right? You get 1 extra hit with runners in scoring position, you tie the game. You get 2 extra hits. If you were 3 for 10 today, you win a ball game. Like, we have to understand that the guy has to perform. You don't leave guys in the same spot. But again, you're not moving your 1, 2, and 3 who are actually performing. That does not make sense. You know who hasn't been performing? 4, 5, 6, 7. Go down the list. Yeah, Game of War. But who else was struggling and slumping last year? Alonso, Nimmo, all those guys. The whole lineup, the whole top of the order was slumping. So, yeah, when the top of the order is slumping so bad, you got to switch it around. And that's when they did it. That's when they did it. That's when they moved the lineup drastically and moved Lindor from 3 to 1. And even then, they messed around with the number 2 spot during that time. Because Alonso was mostly 3. Nimmo was still cleaning up from some odd reason. But when Vientos started to hit, guess where he batted a lot last year? It was either the 2 spot or the 4 spot. So he was getting moved around. Like, this, Vientos has the talent. But if you don't change your approach, again, last year, they were throwing him predominantly fastballs. And for some reason, with baseball, until it takes a full year to get a book on a hitter, and then they changed the approach that they were pitching him the next year. They completely changed the way they pitched to him. Go back to last year. They were throwing him predominantly fastballs. For some reason, they don't change it up until the following year. It's the weirdest thing. You would think they would change it the next time they face him, but they don't do that most of the time, even with all the analytics. This year, this is exactly what they're doing. They're throwing him all off speed and breaking pitches. He's flailing at them. And then when they try to sneak a fastball by him, they usually do because he's looking breaking ball on off speed pitches. That is just a mental game. That has nothing to do with where you bat in the lineup. Why is Acuna successful? He's batting 9th, 8th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. It's not about where guys are hitting. If your whole entire lineup is slumping, then I can say you can mess all around with it. But when guys are actually doing well, you're not moving those guys from that spot. That doesn't make sense. Acuna's been successful in 5 different spots in the lineup. Yeah, Game of War. You know why? Because he's done nothing. He's done nothing. Like, The entire lineup after the third spot has been struggling. So what do you do when 4 through 9 struggle? Luis Acuna was batting ninth, and he batted sixth today. Francisco Alvarez was batting, fifth yesterday? And now he's batting eighth. Why is that? Like, you got to change it around. So what do you want? You want Lindor to bat fifth? Let's put Vientos 2. Let Soto lead off. Why not? Like, why mess up something that's actually working at the leadoff in the top 3? It just doesn't make sense. The good news is the Mets have an opportunity with Griffin Cannon on the mound to win another series, right? This was a tough loss. It was Cubs 6, Brett Baty 5. Nobody did anything else. That's why they lost. That goes down from Lindor, Soto, Alonso, Nimmo, Alvarez, Vientos. Let's go down the list. It's the reason why they lost today. Again, 2 extra hits and runners in scoring position win you the ballgame. The reason why it's been a problem and why it's such a talking point, it's because they're 25-15, yet they're one of the worst teams with runners in scoring position. Yet they have like a plus 50, 52, 53 run differential, which is also insane. Which, again, doesn't tell the entire story. You look at the plus run differential with them, and you're like, damn, they're scoring runs. But they're really not. I think the last time I checked, this was a couple of days ago, I think they were scoring just under 5 runs per game. That's okay, but this team needs to score 5.5 runs per game. That's a whole run difference. That's a huge difference. So, and currently, that's what I'm saying, right? Alvarez, there's no approach. Same thing with Mark Vientos. It looks like he's just going up there with not a clue. Brandon Nimmo has a clue. It's the wrong clue. It's the wrong approach. But it does look like Vientos is not going up there with a plan anymore. Last year, his plan was like, I'm going after that fastball. He did not look anything else but fastball. That's what he needs to do. I truly believe that's what he's doing wrong. And I'm sure the coaches are telling him this. But again, once you get to the plate, there is no coaches in your ear. You are all by yourself with your mind. And you played baseball, we've all been there. We've all been in that spot. The coach can tell you before the game, during the game in the dugout, look for the fastball. Look for the fastball. You go up to the plate in the first at bat, you swing at 3 sliders. Like, we've all done this. Like, it's easily adjustable. It's just when you get that mind right finally is when you can adjust at the plate. It looks like Vientos is not thinking at the plate. He's guessing on everything. And agree with Alvarez. Alvarez is just there. It's like he closes his eyes and swings and hopes the bat hits the ball. Like, it's terrible at bats. It really is. Now, again, I like the way Vientos approached the at bats today. But a couple of weeks ago, prior to his groin injury, he just started to figure it out a little bit. And again, maybe it was the groin injury that kind of got him off track, but he went back to his same terrible approach. And again, it looked better today. Now, I hope tomorrow he's the DH once again. And he takes that today's game as a positive and takes it with him tomorrow's game. That would be great. But let's do it. Yeah, but get more. I'm not. See, this is the problem. People want to blame the hitting coaches, right? Why did Pete Alonso? Do you think the coaches just spoke to Pete Alonso about changing his approach? What do you think? Pete Alonso just started hitting the ball willy-nilly? No. He did the exact opposite he did last year. He's laying off the slider that's been outside corner out of the zone. He's been laying off those off-speed pitches, especially those sliders. He's been hitting the fastball and jumping on the fastball and going the other way. That's a totally different approach than last year when he was pulling off, striking out with that same damn slider all every game last year. until he got to the playoffs and he changed his approach. And he took it into spring training, worked on it, and took it into the season. Vientos' problem is looking for the breaking pitches and the slider rather than looking for the fastball. He jumped on every fastball last year. He was looking fastball regardless. But he was also taking his walks because he wasn't swinging at that nonsense outside of the zone. Alvarez has nothing to do with his head. It's just that he's just a free swinger. He's not changing that, at least right now. He was doing it in spring training. They talked about it. Oh, he's trying to shorten up his swing. And then he comes in the season, he comes back from injury, and he's flailing at everything. It's crazy. Right? Do you want Alvarez batting third? Maybe it'll make him feel better? How about this? Bet Nimmo 2, Alvarez 3, and Vientos 4. Make them feel better about the day. Probably ain't going to change their approach. Vientos is a regular player. Alvarez is a regular player. So let me hold up on that nonsense. That's a ridiculous statement. Vientos plays every day. Alvarez has been playing every day, almost every day since he's come back. He's a catcher, so he's going to get days off. Stop blaming the coaches and blame the goddamn player that's at the plate. It's so ridiculous. You don't think the coaches are telling him, hey, Vientos, stop swinging at that. Look fastball. I can assure you the Mets would fire those hitting coaches if they weren't telling him that. So what you're telling me is they told Alonso to change his approach and go to the opposite field and lay off that slider and jump on fastballs and go the other way. But they don't like Vientos because, the way he wears his jersey, so let's not talk to him. Come on. You really think they're not telling these guys? If you were the hitting coach, you wouldn't be telling them guys? They're there every single day with those guys, right behind the batting cage. You don't think they're telling them that? Of course they are. Come on, guys, if you played baseball before, once you get to the plate, all that shit goes out the window in your mind. It's up to you to change what you need to change. There's been times when I played baseball, from high school to college, where my coach was like, do this, do this, do this. I go up to the plate. I do the exact opposite because your mind goes into a different zone. Because if you overthink it, you're in trouble. Yeah, it's not about being young. I'm sorry. So wait, Vientos wasn't young last year? What, was he all of a sudden a veteran that did well? No. I'm sorry. When you have a year like last year and you come back this year and you change your approach completely, has nothing to do about being young. That is a lame excuse. Lame excuse. I'm sorry, it is. It really is. He needs to do better. Like, grow up. You're not 22 years old. He's what, 26, 27? He's near 30, for God's sakes. He's not 22 years old like Luisano Acuna. Now, I'll give you age with Alvarez. Little bit. But Alvarez has done the same thing since he's come up. He's a free swinger. That's his problem. I don't know if he's going to change that. Like Acuna, go back to the first 2 weeks of the season. The kid swung at everything. But what did he do? And by the way, to kill your point, Acuna has bat 6th, 9th, 7th, 8th. Yet, why is he batting 300? You know why? Because he changed his approach. He's taking his walks. He's not trying to do too much. He was swinging for the fences the first week and a half of this, almost 2 weeks of the season. So lineup didn't matter to Acuna where he batted. He changed his approach. So your lineup nonsense goes out the window. So Acuna can do it, but Vientos can't. When Vientos has been more successful so far than Acuna. So they just got to be better. It's just that simple. And you know what? I think we can all agree 1 through 9's got to be better with runners in scoring position, or this is going to be the continuing talking point. Yeah, I know. I mean, my God. Listen, I mean, if you didn't know, I got the button. I got a baseball button. See the button? It's got the button. When I pressed it, it gives a little shock. They got the little buzzer, right? It rings the phone. Says, "Hey, guys, don't fire these guys. Eric Chavez got a family. Barnes got a family. Got 2 dogs. So give him a break." People like me, no, it's not people like me. You don't like the truth, right? Players fail because of coaches, right? It's always the coaches. But again, the same coaches have been coaching Pete Alonso. So why is it different from last year to this year? Because he decided to change his approach. At this point, I don't care if you're 22 years old, 27 years old, 30 years old. You're a professional ball player. If you don't adjust, you will not be a professional major league player. You would be a minor leaguer. When you make adjustments, you stay in the big leagues. If you don't make adjustments, your ass will be in the minor leagues for your entire career. That's why there's a minor leagues, not just for development. It's for has-beens. It's for guys who, particular Baty almost. He's on the verge of that. Like, that's what it is. Sorry, if you don't make adjustments, you end up not being a major leaguer. The good players, the great players, the MVP, all-star type players, they all make adjustments. That's how they become as good as they can be, because they adjust. There's always a time in your career, and it's very early. If you are successful, like Vientos was in year 1 of having consistent playing time, every team has a book on you. They're going to find a weakness. It's up to the batter, not the coach. It's up to the batter to adjust to what they're doing and how they're pitching you. If you don't do that, you fail and you end up not being a major leaguer at some point. And I'm not saying Vientos is going to get thrown to the minors and never see the light of day again. I'm not saying that. But players fail because they don't adjust their approach when they get adjusted to. It's the same thing with pitchers, right? Why do you think Griffin Cannon has been good when he's been terrible his entire career? The Mets said, throw the pitches that are your best, not the ones that suck. Holy shit. You change your pitches. You change your approach. It's not like he's throwing 102 miles an hour now. He's throwing the same, but he's throwing his better pitches more. You know what that's called? Adjustment. That's why he's been better. Right? Tyler McGill, he's a perfect example. He doesn't adjust to what the hitters are doing at certain points of the year. He'll pitch really good for 4 starts, 5 starts, maybe even 6. Let's get crazy. And then he'll have a 10 to 12 game stretch of games that he starts and looks like he's never pitched in Major League Baseball before. And then he'll come back in August and throw a gem. That's an inconsistent player. That is fringe major leaguer. That is borderline major leaguer. You are a quadruple A player at that point. Brett Baty is a quadruple A player until he proves me wrong. He's been good the last couple of games. Nice. Wonderful. I'm rooting for him. Just like I'm rooting for every other guy in this team. But the coaches have nothing to do with that. If you think a hitting coach is the main reason why guys are not hitting, but they never get credit when the guys are hitting, which is hilarious to me, right? Why aren't you giving Barnes? Why aren't you giving Chavez all the credit in the world for Pete Alonso? Why are you giving him the credit? Why give Pete Alonso the credit? He didn't do anything. He just swung the bat. He just sits there at the plate, changed his approach. Personally, he did it himself. So Chavez and Barnes don't get credit for Pete Alonso, but we blame him for Vientos and Alvarez. It's silly. It's silly. Brett Baty, are we giving credit to Eric Chavez and Barnes for hitting those 2 home runs today? Or the 3 in the last 2 games? No, we're not allowed to. Because Brett Baty, you know what he done? Changed his approach at the plate. He's finally not pulling every ball. He was the ground ball guy. He used to hit the ground ball to the second baseman like he was the only one on the field. He's hitting the ball the other way with authority. That's adjustment. Maybe Brett Baty should be batting fourth. Why not? Right? According to you, that's what we should do, right? Let's change the lineup around. Brett Baty, bat fourth. Big power hitter. The fact of the matter is, this team sucks with runners in scoring position. Name the guy, he sucks. Name the next guy, he sucks too. How are we 25-15? Mostly because of the pitching, mostly because of Alonso, and very recently, mostly because of Lindor and Soto. Soto in particular, and then Lindor for the last 3-4 weeks, around the last 20 games or so. They need to be better offensively. They can't keep on doing this because at some point, the Griffin Cannons of the world will come back to work. Yeah, you know why Game Award? Game Award, this is where we agree. I did not like that platoon. Go back to my early season annoyance of Carlos Mendoza. And a lot of people were in this chat. I've said it from the jump. I said it before the season started. The platoon is stupid. Play the guy that's hitting. I agree with you with that. I 100% agree with you with that. I'm not disagreeing with you on that part. I hate the platoon. I think it's stupid. Play the hot hand. I've always said that. That's something I agree with you with. But that's what I get annoyed with when it comes to Mendoza. But it's not like Vientos is getting subbed in every day. He's playing every day. Regardless of where he's batting in the lineup, he's playing every day. So he's getting his 4 at-bats. So there's no excuse. Get the job done. Figure it out. Adjust. If not, you will be sent down. That's just it. If Brett Baty sucks for the next 2 weeks while he's still on the Mets, he will be DFA with no more options. And good. He should be. No, but kill me. He was the worst starting pitcher that had 30 starts with the Angels. He was the worst pitcher. The worst pitcher that made 30 starts. Terrible. He was not good. He had over a 5 ERA. He wasn't good. But again, it's simple adjustments. He got into the pitching lab. They said these pitches, whatever amount of number of pitches he had, I think he had 4 or 5 pitches. They narrowed it down to basically 3 pitches. He'll occasionally throw his 4th pitch that is not very good, but to have the hitters guessing a little bit, he'll throw it occasionally. But he's throwing 3 pitches. He has 5. 4, but I believe 5. So if he made that adjustment, because he could have been like, yeah, sure, I'll throw 3 pitches. And then he gets on the mound and throws all 5 consistently, and then he gets rocked. But Griffin Cannon adjusted. Again, the pitching lab can tell you whatever they want. If you don't do it on the mound and you don't take that approach that they're telling you to do and take it into the game, you're probably not going to be successful. Or at least you're not going to, look better on the mound. That's the key. Sean Manaea, you think it was the pitching lab? No. He watched Chris Sale from the dugout when they were playing Atlanta and says, I could do that. And what did he do? He went in the bullpen. He went to practice throwing it like Chris Sale consistently. Felt confident to do it in the game and did it. You know what that's called? Practice. It's called doing it over and over again. Changing your approach, changing your mechanics. Same concept. He had a couple of miles an hour more on his fastball, and he had more movements on all his pitches. Holy shit. Had a great year. It's amazing when a player actually wants to do it. It didn't take a coach to tell Manaea to do that. it takes the player ultimately to make that change. Do coaches have a say? Of course they do. But it's up to the player to listen, number one, and two, take it onto the field. If you're not going to do that, you're going to have problems. And I think that's what it is with Alvarez. And I think it's definitely what it has to do with Vientos. More Vientos than Alvarez. Because I think Alvarez was always a free swinger. Vientos is a guy that he has a calm, it seems like he has a calm demeanor at the plate like he had last year. Like you felt the confidence spilling from him. This year, he's fidgety. He's stepping in the bucket. He's out in front of everything, and he's late on the fastballs. Yeah, Kimmy, practice? Yeah, I like that. Yes. So ultimately, guys, the Mets lost 6-5. It was the Brett Baty show today with the City Connect uniforms on. Shitty performance by the offense. 1 for 10. 6 men left on base. Just overall bad offensive performance. Again, 2 more hits when runners in scoring position, you win the ball game. I know we can say that almost every game with every team, but they got to be better. It's been a talking point from day one. And again, we go back to last year for a second before we end the stream. They weren't good with runners in scoring position either, even when they were going through their hot streak. It was the pitching that was so good. Now the offense got a little bit better than what the disaster was the first 2 months of the season, but it was ultimately Manaea pitching outstanding, and Severino pitching excellent, and Quintana pitching great in the second half, and David Peterson coming back after injury and pitching great. So it was mostly the pitching. This has been a common theme with the New York Mets the last 2 seasons. Their runners in scoring position numbers were terrible. Better than this year, but not that good. They're taking it into this season again. So, Game of War. Joke's on you because Brett Baty can't get sent back down. He has no more options. If the Mets are ultimately done with him, he's getting DFA'd. He's getting put on waivers. And there'll be a team in, boom, just like that, 1 second, that will take him. You know why? Because he got years of control and he's very cheap. And somebody will see a chance for him and see that they'll do better. You know who would probably pick him up? The Marlins. Because the Marlins have wanted him for 3 years now. 4 years. 3 years probably. How many times during the offseason or even during the trade deadline a few years back where the Marlins wanted Baty in a deal for Luzardo? That's all we talked about. The Mets were like, nah. We like Brett Baty. He's going to be our third baseman of the future. Oops. He's kind of on the fringe here. So with that said, guys, the Mets lose 6-5. Tomorrow, the Mets are playing in another rubber game to see who wins the series at Citi Field on Mother's Day, 12 o'clock start, very early. So that means in less than 12 hours, I'll be doing a pregame. So wake your asses up. No, I'm just joking, guys. Again, I understand it's Father's Day tomorrow. It's Mother's Day tomorrow. Jesus Lord. I'm watching something and it had something about father on there. I think it was the Pope or something like that. I'm sorry. Tomorrow is Mother's Day, so I don't expect anybody to, pop on the stream. If you're celebrating your mother, all good to you. Happy Mothers to all your mothers there. Or if you are a mother in the stream, good Happy Mother's Day. But if you are here tomorrow, it's going to be an early pregame around 11 o'clock. So tune in if you can. If not, I understand. It's an early game. The game's on Roku tomorrow. So if you got a Roku TV, just pop it on. If you don't have a Roku TV, if you got a smart TV, download the app. It's free. You don't have to pay for anything. You just got to download the silly app. But video, I agree. Yeah, Game Over. I think we all agree that PCA trade for Baez was stupid. But hey, we got Trevor Williams that year, and he pitched extremely well. Don't forget. I'm joking, but I mean, that's it. So have a good night, guys. I'll see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. pregame show, Mets Cubs rubber game to see who wins the series, guys. Have a great night. Let's go Mets, and please score. We're running the scoring position. That would be nice. It'd make it a lot better of a stream, right, guys? Have a good night, guys. Let's go Mets. If I don't talk to you guys tomorrow in the chat, happy Mother's Day to the mothers and to your mothers, guys. Have a good night, guys. Let's go Mets.
Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are really socking the ball.